Japan is absolutely one of my all-time favourite countries that I have ever visited, and that's because it is so diverse and full of so many incredible experiences. I spent over 10 weeks in this fabulous country and I feel like I haven't even scratched the surface. There is just so many things to do here, you will never ever get bored. So let's dive straight into 30 of the best experiences available in Japan right now, and starting at number 1 is watching a sumo match. This awesome Japanese sport is famous all across the world, and every year a handful of different cities in Japan will host that year's sumo tournament, which takes place every other month. We were lucky enough to be in Osaka when the sumo tournament was happening there last year, so we booked tickets to see one of the final days. It was genuinely such a cool experience, and we were so mesmerised by this fascinating sport that we spent many hours here watching the contestants battle it out, all whilst drinking asahi and eating rice crackers. At number 2 is the Nakasendo Trail. Deep in the central mountains, there is an ancient trail between present-day Tokyo and the city of Kyoto. This walking trail is called the Nakasendo Trail and is famous for its ancient preserved towns running the length of the trail. The most beautiful of these towns is Mugome and Sumigo, both of which are connected by an 8-kilometer long walking trail through some of Japan's most amazing natural scenery, passing by waterfalls, streams, forest, and even unique wildlife and a free tea house. At number 3 is watching a baseball game. Watching a baseball game in Japan isn't just about watching a sport, but it's a complete experience, with ladies running up and down the stairs with giant beer backpacks on, to the live band playing in the stands. This is quite unlike any other sport game we had ever been to. We had so much fun watching the crowd celebrate in absolute unison, and everyone in the stands tapping along to the band with their inflatable bats. This was the first baseball game we had ever attended, and it did not disappoint. Number 4 is eating yakitori. Eating yakitori in Japan isn't just about eating a meal, it's a whole dining experience. If you've never heard of yakitori, think of Japanese tapas. Lots of small dishes of food, most of it on a stick of some kind. Now, yakitori is technically just skewered chicken, but every yakitori restaurant we ever went to was serving all kinds of stuff on small plates. We genuinely loved it, as it was an excuse to try as many things on the menu as possible. Number 5 is watching the sunset over Tokyo. Tokyo has many tall buildings, but there is one in particular that everybody seems to go to watch sunset, and that is Shibuya Sky. However, with tickets priced at about $20 and needing to book many weeks in advance, it's not the best option for the budget-conscious, last-minute traveller. Well, fear not, as there is a free alternative. At the Tokyo Metropolitan Government Building in Shinjuku. We watched the sunset from here and also at Shibuya Sky, and I think I might have actually preferred the free option, as there was just way less people, and it also means not having to fork out on any hard-earned cash. Just be aware that twice a year they do close the elevators for maintenance here, so if you're unlucky enough to turn up on that day like we did, you'll have to come back another time. Number 6 is Osaka Castle at cherry blossom season. Osaka Castle during cherry blossom season is absolutely magical. We were lucky enough to be in Osaka during Sakura season, and one of the prettiest places we visited was definitely Osaka Castle. There are thousands of cherry trees lining the park surrounding the castle, and hundreds of people come here to sit under the blossoms and picnic on the grass. Walking the Sakura-lined walkways was so magical and a wonderful experience. Number 7 is eating the world's strongest matcha. I'm a massive matcha fan, so when I heard about the world's strongest matcha at a small ice cream store in Asakusa, I knew we had to visit. This little shop is so busy that you'll need to get a ticket and come back later, but don't let that put you off. This was one of the best matcha ice creams I have ever eaten, and I've eaten a lot. As you walk in, the counter is filled with a variety of different strength matcha ice cream, but obviously you need to try the strongest stuff. If you love matcha, come here and try the world's strongest, you won't regret it. At number 8 is a tea ceremony. Staying on the theme of matcha, if you are in Kyoto, you need to attend a tea ceremony and try your hand at making your own matcha tea. This traditional ceremony is likely just a taster of what a full formal ceremony would be like, but sitting on the tatami bamboo floor in a traditional tea room is quite a unique experience. Our tea ceremony included a chance for us all to make our own bowl of hot matcha, which we enjoyed with a Japanese sweet, after watching the tea master show us how it's done correctly. Number 9 is trying a mystery vending machine. Japan has thousands and thousands of vending machines, but there is a unique kind scattered across some of the major cities. These mystery vending machines are exactly what they sound like. You put a 1,000 yen note in and a mystery prize comes out. We tried 2 different machines in and around Tokyo and we won a coffee grinder and a Minions face cloth, but some of the prizes you could win are much more impressive. So if you happen to walk past one, or if you're the gambling sort, why not see what you might win? Number 10 is feeding the deer at Nara Park. In the city of Nara, just outside Kyoto and Osaka, there is an enormous public park absolutely filled with hundreds of free-roaming tame deer. These wild animals that live here year-round have become so accustomed to humans that it's become an attraction to go and feed them. We've been twice now and we absolutely loved feeding the bowing friendly deer. Crackers are just 200 yen for a stack of 10, so for no more than a few dollars you can have hours and hours of fun. Number 11, going to a Micropig Cafe. There are many themed cafes and restaurants in Japan, but personally I love anything animal related. Having been to cat and dog cafes before, we were on the lookout for something a little bit different, and that's when we found this Micropig Cafe in Kyoto. We booked a 30-minute slot before arriving and spent the next half an hour petting and enjoying the company of dozens of little tiny pigs. The entrance fee included unlimited drinks from the vending machine, and we thought it was a lot of fun. Number 12 is witnessing the giant Tateyama snow walls. Every year between mid-April and mid-June, there is a bus route that runs between 2 stations high in the Japanese Alps. And along this bus route, the road is sandwiched between 2 up to 20-meter high walls of snow. This is the Tateyama Snow Wall Corridor, and it's an area that gets more snow than almost anywhere else on the planet. Unfortunately, on the day we visited, the terrible weather meant that we couldn't see the real deal walls, so we had to settle for these still very impressive 10-meter high walls along the pedestrian route. Number 13 is eating ramen at Ichiran. Japan has a lot of famous dishes, and one of the most popular is ramen, and there are thousands and thousands of ramen restaurants in Japan, but my personal favourite is Ichiran. This ramen chain is an experience like no other. You wait in line, you order and pay at a machine, you choose your preferences like level of spiciness, noodle firmness, and then you sit at a counter and get your food, all without ever speaking a word or seeing the face of the people that serve you. It's strange, it's very Japanese, and the ramen is bloody delicious. Number 14, walking the Togakushi Shrines. High in the hills outside of Nagano, there is a series of 3 sacred shrines, all of which are linked together by a walking trail through the mountains. The upper, lower and middle Togakushi shrines can all be visited via a path that connects them, after a short bus ride from Nagano City. All 3 shrines are absolutely beautiful, and the 2-kilometer walkway to the upper shrine is a truly wonderful experience. If you love nature, history and culture combined, then the Togakushi shrines are well worth a visit. Number 15 is trying wasabi ice cream and wasabi beer. Just outside the city of Matsumoto is the Dayo Wasabi Farm, an enormous area perfect for growing the spicy little green wasabi. As well as being a beautiful area to explore, this wasabi farm is home to 2 of the strangest things we tried whilst in Japan: wasabi ice cream and wasabi beer. After taking a walk around the grounds, we decided to give both of these a go, and let's just say the ice cream was a little bit spicier than I thought it would be. Neither of us had ever tried anything like this before, and I think it will be a while before we try anything like it again. Number 16 is the world's largest capsule toy store. Deep in the Sunshine City shopping mall in Tokyo's Ikebukuro neighborhood, there is the world's largest capsule toy store. In here, there are around 3,000 of these machines, each dispensing a different, weird and random toy, some of which are completely bizarre and others that are perhaps a little bit more useful. We had great fun exploring to find what strange things we could find, and perhaps the best thing we ended up coming out with was a pack of mini Uno, which has come in very handy since. At number 17, it's Okonomiyaki. Many restaurants in Japan can be described as an experience, but Okonomiyaki is definitely up there with our favourite dining experiences. This dish is basically a savoury cabbage pancake, but the way it's cooked and prepared on a giant flat-top grill is such an awesome thing to watch. We were lucky enough to get a front row seat at Teppan Baby in Tokyo, and it did not disappoint, as we watched the cooks show off their skills right in front of us, flipping the pancakes and the toppings all over the place. And we even got to eat our meals straight off the hot plate right in front of us. At number 18 is drinking matcha in a bamboo forest. Many temples across Japan have a tea house, a place where you can relax in a peaceful and tranquil setting and enjoy a hot cup of matcha tea. However, one of the most beautiful settings we experienced this was in Kamakura, in the Hokokuji Temple. This stunning temple is known for its small bamboo grove in the gardens, and right inside the bamboo grove is a little tea house serving hot matcha. We were lucky enough to get a seat right at the window of this tea house, overlooking the bamboo forest as we enjoyed our hot tea. Number 19 is witnessing Mount Fuji. Mount Fuji is one of the most iconic and sacred symbols of Japan. This cone-shaped dormant volcano is Japan's tallest mountain and sits at around 12,500 feet. Just a few hours outside of Tokyo, the town of Kawaguchiko is one of the best places to view Mount Fuji, with the nearby Arakura Fuji Senjin Shrine being one of the most famous places to photograph this iconic mountain. The observation deck behind the pagoda here can have lines of up to 2-hour wait in Sakura season, but it remains one of the most beautiful sights in all of Japan. Number 20, rowing a boat on the Imperial Palace Moat. Every year in the spring, the moat at the Chidori Gafuchi Park, right next to the Imperial Palace in Tokyo, is lined with hundreds of beautiful cherry blossoms. On the moat here, you can rent either a rowboat or a swan-shaped pedalo for 30 minutes and immerse yourself in the incredibly beautiful sea of pink that surrounds the water. Unfortunately, we got here just as the blossoms were falling off the trees, but we opted for a pedalo to enjoy the area, and it did not disappoint. If you're willing to wait in line for 2 hours or more, get here when the blossoms are at their fullest for the best experience. 21. Golden Gai in Tokyo. This tiny little neighborhood in the corner of Shinjuku in Tokyo is one of the strangest bar areas we have ever experienced. Lining these dark little pedestrian alleyways is over 200 small bars, each of which has its own unique character and style. A lot of the bars are very, very small, with less than 10 seats in them, and others are a little bit bigger. Some places will charge a cover fee, and in some it is locals only, and foreigners are not welcome at all. We went to a few bars here, but our favourite was singing karaoke until the early hours of the morning in a dingy, smoke-filled bar. 22. Walking through the Fushimi Inari Shrine. There are many iconic sites in Japan, but one of the most famous is the thousands of brightly coloured orange torii gates at the Fushimi Inari Shrine in Kyoto. This sacred Shinto shrine is made up of many hundreds of gates leading uphill to the top of the sacred Mount Inari. If you're feeling athletic, the walk to the top of the mountain is around 2 to 3 hours, but most visitors simply stay around the base, where the highest concentration of gates is. Walking through these shrines is a wonderful experience and is much better early in the morning when the crowds are fewer. At 23, it is eating all the snacks at 7-Eleven. Having travelled to most countries in Asia now, I've seen my fair share of strange and wonderful snacks. However, Japan takes the crown for the craziest variety of unique snacks. After just a quick trip to 7-Eleven or Family Mart, you will see exactly what I'm talking about, with so many one-of-a-kind foods that you won't find anywhere else on the planet. Trying all the convenience food in Japan really is an activity all on its own, and I highly encourage you to head into 7-Eleven and try them all out. 24. Eating the street food at Nishiki Market. If you are looking to try a variety of Japanese street food all in one place, then look no further than Nishiki Market in Kyoto. This narrow covered walkway is lined with dozens of food vendors, all selling different Japanese snacks, from taiyaki and takoyaki to rice crackers and matcha sweets. This is a really good place for a quick lunch, or to try any of the traditional snacks you've been dying to try whilst in Japan. Number 25. Going on a temple tour in Kyoto. Kyoto is home to hundreds and hundreds of temples, each of which is incredibly beautiful. Some of the more famous temples are the Gold Pavilion, the Silver Pavilion, and the Hokanji Temple, but there are so many more less visited temples worth your time in Kyoto. As it's hard to choose a favourite, I'd recommend making your way around the city, visiting as many temples as your time and budget allow. There is no such thing as a waste of time when it comes to the temples in Kyoto, as they are all so magical in their own unique way. 26. Walking through a bamboo forest. There are so many bamboo forests and groves in Japan, particularly in Kyoto, and none are more visited than the Arashiyama bamboo forest. However, many temples have their own little bamboo groves situated in their gardens, and the most beautiful one we visited was in the grounds of Adashino Nembutsuji Temple, just a 20-minute walk away from the famous Arashiyama walkway. When we visited this temple, we were the only people here, and walking through the bamboo grove was such a peaceful and wonderful experience. It is well worth the 20-minute walk away from the crowds. 27. Visiting a sake museum and tasting sake. In South Kyoto, there is a small sake museum called the Gekkeikan Okura Sake Museum. This tiny little museum costs just around $5 to enter and will tell you all about the history and the process of making sake. The real highlight for us though was that at the end of the tour, there is a sake tasting room in which you will be given a small ceramic cup and 3 tokens each to sample 3 sakes of your choosing. We had great fun trying all the different varieties of sake, as it was something we had never done before. Also, as a souvenir, you get to keep the sake cup. 28. Eating gyozas at Chao Gyoza. With a line out the door at most hours of the day, Chao Gyoza in Kyoto is definitely not a hidden treasure. However, it is definitely well worth a visit. This restaurant literally just sells gyozas, but the most famous item on the menu is the chicken wing gyoza, a literal chicken wing, bones removed and the inside stuffed with a gyoza filling. We tried a whole bunch of different gyozas whilst we were here and every single one was delicious. We even got a seat at the bar and got to watch the cooks making the gyozas right in front of us. At 29 is trying out the buttons on the toilet. Japanese toilets are famous the world over for their high-tech features, and no visit to Japan is complete without experiencing the buttons firsthand. Pretty much every single toilet in Japan has all the fancy buttons, so there is no way you can miss out on this experience. Some toilets even come with instructions in English, so you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. And lastly, at number 30 is conveyor belt sushi. Many countries across the planet have adopted this very Japanese style of eating sushi, but experiencing it firsthand in Japan is definitely far superior. There are a number of different sushi restaurants offering this experience, so just pick one that you like the look of and head inside. The concept is simple, each plate is priced according to the corresponding colour, and at the end of your meal the plates are tallied up for a total. Usually there is also a menu that you can order from if the item that you want is not available on the conveyor belt in front of you.